Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be showing you another new Tag-Team GX. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We knew that Celebi and Venusaur were coming. Seriously, I made a whole prediction video about it and what it might do, etc. I'll pop a link to that one in the description. And now we finally have it. It has been revealed exclusively over at Gameinformer.com. And I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, the artwork is beautiful, but on the website it's terribly washed out. We've also got an image of the Japanese version, and you can see from this one, it is wonderful. We are now, incidentally, 4 for 4 in Mitsuhiro Arita art. This, and Pikachu and Zekrom, and Eevee and Snorlax, which was also revealed in English. And Magikarp and Wailord that we looked at the other day, they are all drawn by the lovely Mitsuhiro Arita. I think it's fair to assume he's doing all of them going forward. I am delighted by this. These are my favourite style of cards I've seen in many, many years. Possibly ever. But of course, we need to look at what it does. So starting off, it's got 270 HP, which is right in line with Eevee and Snorlax, which is quite nice. Not quite as high as Magikarp and Wailord, but still higher than Pikachu and Zekrom. It's got the expected weakness to fire, which is going to be an issue, given that, well, Blacephalon's a thing. Yeah, Blacephalon's like the best deck in the format right now. That's a little bit of a problem. And like every Tag-Team GX we've seen so far, it's got a huge retreat. But the question is, can we actually use it? Well, the attacks are good, but frankly, they're expensive. The first attack for 1 grass and 2 colorless energy, 50 damage, plus burn, plus confusion, plus poison. And this can add up extremely quickly. Poison puts 1 damage counter on between turns, but don't forget Burbank City Gym in the expanded format, and don't forget Survivor in the standard format. So this can easily be multiple damage counters per turn. As for burn, we have got Infernape, which turns it from 2 to 6. Although, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that's particularly viable in this deck. And we've got Weller Volcano Park, which means that your opponent cannot flip heads and get out of burn. They can flip heads, but they can't get out of burn. Plus, you've got confusion. If your opponent attacks and flips tails, then the attack fails, and they take 30 damage. So even if you just go for regular poison, regular burn, this does 80 damage, and then does an extra 30 between turns. And that's if they don't flip for confusion. And that is if you don't use any of these extra modifiers. This adds up pretty gosh darned quickly. Now, 50 damage for a grass double colorless is very low. Yes, we've got double colorless energy, and that's rather nice, but this is still low, to be perfectly honest with you. The special conditions are good, but I don't know if they're enough. On their own, I think we need to build them up just a little bit. I think if you're playing around with stuff like Weller Volcano Park and Survivor, and you're doing, say, 50 between turns guaranteed with the initial 50, then I'm all in favour. Just as a starter, it's fine, but I don't know if I'm particularly enamoured with this. You know, for free energy, Pikachu and Zekrom does 150, and accelerates free energy. And yes, I know that Pikachu and Zekrom can't use double colorless energy, but they can use Thunder Mountain, so you know, snap. Second attack here, the main attack, so to speak, 2 grass, double colorless, 150 damage. And this seems a little bit low to me. This seems a tiny bit underwhelming. 150 is... it's just okay. It's fine. The good news is, against a non-GX, you will KO the vast majority of them. You'll get your Buzzwole, you'll get your Shining Lugia, etc. But having said that, you've still got things like Solgaleo Prism Star with 160, and that's before we get up to the really big boys like Regigigas. It's alright. And similarly, when you add a choice band on and you're going against GXs, there's plenty that you will be KOing. Blacephalon, that we mentioned earlier, will be going down. Rayquaza, which is still a bit of an issue in a whole bunch of meta games, that'll be going down. But there's plenty of stuff like Buzzwole that won't. That'll survive quite nicely. And you're 30 away from getting something like a Zoroark GX. And given that you're both a GX and you give up free prizes, it's not like you can just drop a Shrine of Punishment to do the extra damage here. It seems slightly underwhelming. Again, for pretty much the same energy cost. Pikachu and Zekrom's doing 150 and attaching free energy. Except they don't need a double colorless, so it's a better energy cost. If we look at something like Eevee and Snorlax for 4 energy, all of which are colorless, they do 120. But if it's an evolution Pokemon, it's 240. That's a lot better. So far, the first 2 attacks are underwhelming, and here's what gets me. How are you accelerating energy to this? Because if I'm looking at a lightning deck, I know that I can use something like Magnezone, for instance, which would work very nicely in there. If I look at Eevee and Snorlax, it's a colorless Pokemon, so I can use anything. Something like Malamar fits quite nicely. When I'm looking at Wailord, I'm thinking, right, well, I can use Naganadel to get the energy on the field, and then I can use Quagsire to move it to my active Wailord. I know where the energy's coming from. And if I look at Celebi and Venusaur Tag-Team GX, I go, well, it can use double colorless. And I think that's the big worry for me. The first 2 attacks seem underwhelming compared to the others. The other Tag Team GXs. But you don't have the energy acceleration. The good news is the Tag Team GX attack is over the top nuts good, if expensive. For 2 grass, 2 colorless energy, you do 180 damage. This is a way better amount of damage. Instant KO on Blacephalon or Rayquaza. Add a choice band and everything from Zoroark on down is getting KO'd. Damage here, way better. However, the secondary effect is what really makes this. Now, as with all the Tag Team GX attacks, you do need extra energy, but you only need 1 grass. So if you're paying a minimum of grass double colorless, shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. This is literally Lysander's trump card. Like exactly Lysander's trump card. Except only for you, not your opponent. So okay, if you're playing against something like, well, not really much in the standard format, I suppose. But let's go Night March in the expanded format. You get to get rid of all of their Night Marches and then they're not doing very much. But you get to reuse all of your cards. We lost Puzzle of Time, which is universal recovery. We lost Special Charge. So it's really hard to get your special energies back. This will get all of them. It gets all of your Guzma back to try and bring Pokemon off the bench and KO them. It gets everything back, ladies and gentlemen. I say everything. Something like a Life Forest Prism Star, yeah, it's not getting that one back. Life Forest Prism Star is a Prism Star. It doesn't go to the discard. It goes to the Lost Zone. So you don't have that. But other than anything that goes in the Lost Zone, you get everything back. Firstly, if you're against a deck that's trying to deck you out, think something like Sylveon, for instance. This is going to be kind of hilarious because they're trying to deck you out. They're going to use all of their Crushing Hammer, etc. And then you just get everything back. Now, to be fair, you've got to build up 5 energy to do it, and if you don't, it's irrelevant. But assuming that you do, they're just not going to have the resources to take you down again. And you're going to be off and rolling. It's a really good effect. Lysander's trump card was banned because it meant that you could use stuff like Super Scoop Up and Crushing Hammer turn after turn after turn. This doesn't do that. This isn't like Lysander's trump card. Because Lysander's trump card, you could basically use Versus Seeker to use it every turn, and Seismitoad decks went nuts with it. I made a video about that. I'll pop a link in the description. But the point is, it gets all of your resources back. And this is phenomenal. Like, over the top, crazy phenomenal. It's just really expensive. Yes, I suppose at this stage we could mention Max Elixir if you're in the expanded format. And yes, I know that we have got Lurantis GX. But it's not like anyone's played Lurantis GX since, I want to say it was the internationals in Europe in 2016. Right after this was released. When a few players did play this with stuff like Tapu Bulu. Now, before we end the video, I'm going to address the thing that many of you have probably been yelling at the screen since I started the video. Come on, what about Vikavolt? What about Vikavolt? Because I've said I don't know how the energy is being accelerated. Surely Vikavolt sounds like a plan. And the answer is no. Because if I put a Tapu Bulu in play, then I can use one strong charge and attach from my hand, and I'm hitting 180. Or I can use Rayquaza, and I can build up and do big smashing. This has a very bad weakness to the best Pokemon in the format at the moment, at least the best deck. It gives up free prizes, and it does less damage than the other cards. The other thing that makes me really upset about this is that the great thing is the GX attack. You have got to have 2 Vikavolt out and attach all 4 of the energy to Venusaur and attach from your hand in order to get the Tag-Team GX attack off in a single attack. Plus, you've now got to be playing a whole bunch of lightning energy, which means you're not going to be playing double colorless, which gets super, super awkward. If I'm using Magnezone along with Pikachu and Zekrom, I get a Magnezone out. I find all my energy, I attach them. It's easy. With this, you need 2 Vikavolt, and even that isn't enough. And if you want to play Vikavolt, Tapu Bulu is a better out-and-out attacker than this. Gives up 2 prizes, better weakness, hits more damage. The GX attack on here is phenomenal, no argument. But are you really going to be using this in a Vikavolt deck for the GX attack? And maybe you will. I'm just worried that it's too much to take. It's not as easy as accelerating energy with something like Malamar, because Malamar, you could just go couple of Malamar, double colorless, you're off. You're going to be mixing Grass and Lightning and double colorless. Yes, Vikavolt's an option here, but I left it to chuck in on the end as a very deliberate, I don't think it's a great option. I'm going to be giving Celebi and Venusaur free Wassies. I don't think it's a bad card, but it is out and out as an attacker worse than something like Tapu Bulu. The GX attack is phenomenal, but even though we have some ways to accelerate grass energy, I don't think any of them are good enough. But maybe you disagree with me, in which case, ladies and gentlemen, there's a comment section. Head over there, go nuts, but I would ask you to please remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasseyPlays for some lovely Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.